NBC Sports presents the National League Division Series. Tonight from Olympic Stadium, it's the Philadelphia Phillies and the Montreal Expos. The National League Division Series is brought to you by Lowenbrau. When you want the taste of a truly great beer, there's really only one. Tonight, let it be Lowenbrau. By Ford and your Ford dealer, who invites you to test drive the 1982 Ford cars and trucks. By Prell, the shampoo that frees your hair to be beautifully full and thick. And by Hertz, the car rental company that's #1 for everyone. Cold and wet in Montreal's Olympic Stadium. No batting practice because of the rain, but it's dry at the moment. Game 2, the Phillies, the defending World Series champions, against the Montreal Expos. Hello, everyone. Dick Enberg along with Cy Young Award winner 3 times, Tom Seaver. At the start of the series, they all said Steve Carlton had to win for the Phils in Game 1. Montreal beat him.
Well, Philadelphia certainly wanted to get a win out of the big guy, Steve Carlton, but he simply made a lot of bad pitches, and he was outpitched by Steve Rogers. Before this series started, Philadelphia 0-5 in this ballpark. Now they're 0-6 in this ballpark. If they want to win, they've got to beat Bill Gullickson, who's only 7-9, but his numbers indicate that he had a better year than that.
Gullickson won only 7, but his ERA was 10th best in the National.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
So we're set to go. The first inning, and Lonnie Smith will lead it off for the Philadelphia Phils. And the temperature is dropping. They expect it may be in the low 40s before this game is through. Bill Gullickson, just 22 years of age, 7-9 on the year, 2.81 ERA, facing Smith, Rose, and McBride in the Philly first inning. Smith, red hot with a bat. 24-game hitting streak. There's the defensive alignment for the Expos. The battery of Gullickson and Carter, Parrish, Spire, Manuel, and Cromartie around the horn. Terry Francona, Andre Dawson, and Jerry White left to right in the outfield. And the count quickly, 2 strikes on Smith. And around the league, Tom Seaver, when they talk about this 22-year-old from Kankakee, Illinois, Gullickson, they say he may be have the best young arm in the National League.
Well, if you listen to the Philadelphia coaches and Jim Fanning, they talk about Gullickson as being one of the future superstars in this game. Just 22 years old, 6'3", 210 pounds, a big man, very mature for just a couple of years of experience in professional baseball. And you look at his numbers. Right there, 157 innings pitched and only 142 hits. That's a mark of a fine pitcher, and that's a good fastball right there.
He tied up Smith with the inside fastball as Gullickson strikes out the leadoff man.
Nothing really fancy from Gullickson. Fastball, curveball, slider, changeup, and that's a fastball up and in. He got ahead of Smith 0-2 and finishes him off with a good high and tight fastball.
And he'll now face a man mighty tough to strike out, Pete Rose, who led the major leagues in base hits this year. Of course, past Stan Musial, the all-time National League hit leader. Had a couple of base hits yesterday and drives this one foul down the left field line. Crowd a bit larger than the 34,000 that saw yesterday's Montreal 3-1 win. We'd expect about 40,000 tonight. The Expos trying to repeat the pattern. The A's, the Yankees, and the Astros jump out to 2-0 leads in this best 3 out of 5. Up the middle, Spire, the shortstop. 2 away. Veteran infielder Spire.
The Montreal defense, Dick, played extremely well yesterday. They've taken their knocks during the season. The local press has gotten on them about shoddy play at times, but they played a superb game of defense yesterday. Another example, Spire on a routine play and a ground ball to short.
Bake McBride, who was moved from the 5th spot in the batting order up to number 3 yesterday in the very first inning. With Matthews on 3rd with a 2-out triple, they pitched around Schmidt to get to McBride. So now they put McBride in front of Schmidt, getting Matthews in that 5th spot, hoping Schmidt will get better pitches to work with. McBride 0 for 4 yesterday, and he's 0 for the last 20. So he's hungry for a base hit. Two balls and a strike. The scores of other games, and you talk about pitching being important in the playoffs. Look at the runs for the losers. The Dodgers only got 1 run in 2 games at Houston, only 1 run for the Phillies yesterday in losing. And of course, the Brewers were shut out today after scoring 3 in last night's game. And in the other American League Series, look at the A's. 2 runs, 1 run in their loss last night, and were shut out in the first game. So in the other 7 playoff games, the losing team has scored a total of only 6 runs. Out of play. And there it is. And the focus is on the right side. The losing team shut out 3 times, 1 run on 3 other defeats. Got to tell you something. Full count, Bake McBride. Left side, base hit. So McBride breaks out of that 0 for 20 slump. And here comes Mike Schmidt.
Gullickson got ahead of the first 2 hitters that came up for the Phillies, and here he runs a count to 3-2, and Bake can just about sit on the fastball. That situation obviously was Schmidt coming up behind, hitting next. You certainly don't want to walk a guy like Bake McBride, and it certainly gives a hitter an advantage. He can pick his pitch, sit on the fastball, and Bake just laid the bat out, hit a single. Mike had a tough day yesterday. Rogers pitched around him in the first inning. Had Matthews at third base with 2 outs. Rogers, no way, go to first base. I'll look at you right over there and pick this out man and Bake McBride.
But he did hit the ball hard twice for outs, and one that you saw in our pregame set, the bullet to third that Parrish stabbed and threw him out, and that saved a run. Very critical time early in the 3rd inning. The Major League home run and RBI leader this year. Already holding on the runner McBride.
One reason that Schmidt has become such a good hitter, he's much more patient now than when he first came into the league. He is such a dangerous hitter. Pitchers try to be so careful to him. He hits, I would, just guessing, I would say he hits more with a 2-0 and 3-1 count than anybody in the league.
Caught the corner, 1-1. And you see Schmidt in the batter's box. He's as far away from the plate as you can get, deep and away from the plate.
He changed his stance a little bit last year and kind of incorporated a little bit of the George Brett style of hitting, Charlie Lau style of hitting. Going into the ball. You know, he's extremely strong, can hit the ball out of any part of this ballpark or any ballpark.
We understand those in the Chicago area that want to claim this young right-hander Gullickson, and he did pitch at Joliet Catholic High School and had 6 no-hitters. But the Gullickson clan, and it's a big family of 9, say, we want to plug for Kankakee. So who's to argue with the Gullickson? I was outnumbered. 2 balls and a strike. Mike Schmidt, the batter. Top of the 1st inning. Bake McBride at first base with good speed. Hit to short. Spivey gets it the short way, and that's it for the Phils in the 1st. No runs, a hit, and a man left. After a half inning, the defending World Series champions, Philadelphia nothing, and Montreal against Dick Ruthven coming to bat.
Montreal Expos, with Warren Cromartie leading off and playing first base. Crow has done an outstanding job for us since taking over the leadoff position and batting for the injured Timmy Raines. Batting in the 2nd position will be Jerry White playing right field. Batting 3rd will be Andre Dawson, one of the best outfielders in the game today. Yours truly will bat 4th. Larry Parrish will bat 5th and play 3rd. Terry Francona will play left field and bat 6th. And Chris Fire will bat 7th and play shortstop for us. Jerry Manuel will play 2nd base for the injured Rodney Scott in bat 8th, and Bill Gullickson, one of the premier pitchers in the game today, and still coming into his own. Bill Gullickson batting 9th and pitching for the Expos tonight.
Handsome Gary Carter with a big smile with the lineup for the Expos. And here's the defense for Philadelphia. The battery of Ruthven and Moreland. Bob Boone did not catch yesterday as well. Schmidt, Boa, Trio and Rose on the infield. Matthews in left. Lonnie Smith for Gary Maddox in center. And McBride in right. Cromartie 2 for 5 yesterday. Ruthven did not have a good second half of the season, Tom Seaver.
Well, you look at his numbers for the season, all season, 12 and 7. With a high ERA, he had a very difficult time coming back after the strike. He had some back problems. He tried to compensate, got his front shoulder opening up too much, and he's a very analytical type of pitcher. But many times with an injury, if you try to do things and pitch or hit or whatever with an injury, you get into a lot of bad habits, and that's what happened to Dick, and he did pitch very poorly in the second half.
In fact, 1-4, lost 4. This is his overall record, but in the second half he was 4-4 with an ERA of 6.75. He'll let you hit the ball, as you could see from that hit to him. Well, that one bouncing up and got plate umpire Frank Cooley. That one missed home plate by 10 feet. There are the measurements here at Olympic Stadium. 12-foot fence, 325 in the corners, 375 behind the left and right fielder, and 404 to straightaway center. It looks to be a bigger ballpark, the perspective of the hitter. Out of play. Meanwhile, some of the fans watching game 2, but their love for hockey also quite in evidence. This is the opening night of the National Hockey League season for their beloved Montreal Canadiens. 2-2 to Cromartie. Back up the middle, and Ruthven handles the one-hopper. One away.
Ruthven's a good all-around athlete, a pretty good hitter, very good fielder. He's going to be effective tonight. He's got to get ahead of the hitters and be able to get his breaking ball over when he's behind, if he does get behind. He threw very hard when he came up to the major leagues. From where I grew up, Fresno State kid.
Ex-Bulldog. Home is Sacramento, California. Jerry White, switch hitting outfielder, 1 for 3 yesterday. Check that 1 for 4 as the graphic explained. Tried to bunt once, but was safe on the fielder's choice, and that's an AB. Out of play, 1-2. How about the weather itself? Certainly going to be colder here than anywhere else in the playoffs, and usually when you have the cold weather, the scores are low and the pitchers have the advantage.
Well, I would think so, Dick, definitely. And the cold weather really isn't a problem as long as the wind doesn't blow. And as you can tell by our booth up here, we've got papers flying around and our notes flying around. The wind is what really causes the problem. And it doesn't cause too much of a problem for a pitcher because he's active all the time. It's the 4 guys that are standing in the outfield, you know, Lonnie Smith and the Gary Matthews out there, especially in extended innings. But the wind is a thing, along with that the cold temperatures, would give you a problem.
High fly on the infield, and Trio grabs it for the second out. So a couple of soft outs from Cromartie and White, and that brings up center fielder Andre Dawson. Dawson, a man with speed and power, blessed with those 2 great assets, and was the only man in the National League to hit more than 20 home runs and also steal more than 20 bases.
Well, if you could make a mold and pour the ingredients in for an all-around athlete, all-around ball player, that man at home plate for the Expos, number 10, is the guy you'd want to get out. He's got power. He can hit for an average speed, great throwing arm, able to steal a base. As all the scouts would say, he can do it all.
They're really the
decathletes of this sport. They've got the upper body power to hit the ball long, and yet the speed and the extremities.
We've got two all-around athletes on this field, and I mean superb athletes in Cromartie and Mike Schmidt of the Phillies.
Ruthven with a count, 2 balls and a strike. We're in the bottom of the first inning, no score here in Montreal's Olympic Stadium. 2-2. Picked that 3 balls and a strike as he misses away.
Yeah, one thing you don't want to do as a pitcher is get the 2-0 or a 3-1 count to a good hitter. And here's a test to see if Ruthven maybe can get his breaking ball over. Goes with the fastball.
Fastball right back into your living room.
Talking to Herm Surratt before the game, the pitching coach from the Philadelphia Phillies, that if Ruthven is going to be affected, when he does get behind, he's going to have to get the breaking ball over. Here's a shot at Dick's. A little bit unorthodox delivery, but when he does release the ball, he gets in a good throwing position, and he went with his fastball when he got behind.
Breaking ball, and it's off the fist to second. 3-0 with an easy play. And Ruthven with an impressive first inning. A couple of soft groundouts and a pop fly as the Phillies go down in order. After 1, in Montreal, the Phils and the Expos, no score. And the Phils bring up Gary Matthews, Keith Moreland, and Larry Boa. Bill Lee for mayor, and on their way to Houston, say, whether it's Philadelphia or Montreal that wins this series. And of course, the Dodgers have something to say about whether the Astros will be there, although Houston off with a great start. Their outstanding pitching gets them the first 2 victories. Matthews had a triple in 4 at-bats yesterday. Gullickson with a strike. Gary, the National League Rookie of the Year in 1972 with the Giants. They play him to hit to right center. They give him a big hole in left center field. 2-1.
Ooh. I think if I was out there, I might have wanted that one. Frank Pulley behind the plate. A good umpire, though.
2-2. Gullickson against Matthews. Down the right field line, Jerry White. 1 away. Ball was in fair territory.
Well, the defense certainly was played right. Gullickson pitched him awfully well. The one off-speed pitch was a changeup. The second pitch in the sequence, he threw it off the plate inside. The interesting thing about Gullickson's numbers, if you look at them, 157 innings pitched and yet only 142 hits. Hits below innings pitched, and in those 147 innings, only 34 base on balls, 115 strikeouts.
And his average walks per game were under 2, so the youngster knows the strike zone.
Got good stuff, can strike you out, and does not walk a lot of people. Markings of a pretty good young pitcher right there.
Moreland for Bob Boone, catching the first 2 games of the series, and it was his bat that provided the only Philadelphia run yesterday, a home run to straightaway center field. And Gullickson falls behind 3-0. Bill said his heroes as he grew up in Chicago area, Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver. Think you feel good or just old? Ball 4, so we talk about his control, and he loses Moreland on 4 straight pitches.
Bordering on ancient, let's put it that way.
Not by way of your record. 14-2 this year. And a serious contender for the Cy Young Award. And should Seaver win it, it would be an unprecedented 4th time. Joe Palmer and Steve Carlton, yourself, have all won it 3 times.
Sandy Koufax.
Sandy Koufax. Goodness, don't want to forget the left-hander. Funny you should know that information.
We had a little discussion about Sandy Koufax at dinner last night, too, didn't we?
Boa, switch hitting shortstop, takes a strike. Talking about the greatest pitchers and hitters that
we'd ever seen. Of course, when you get into that game, Koufax's name always jumps quickly into the conversation. 1 out, 1 on, no score, second inning. Out of play. You can see the heavy coats. Batting gloves come in handy on a night like this. 2 strikes on Boa. They play behind Moreland at first base. Ooh, those have to make your fingernails hurt.
A little chilly out there. The inside fastballs are going to sting a little bit, but Olympic Stadium here, modern facilities. This isn't like the old days at Ebbets Field or whatever. They've overhead heaters in the dugout, so when you do go in, you're not sitting out in the raw cold. There is warmth in that dugout when you're not on the field.
2 strikes the count. Lifted to right. White with his second put out in the inning. Did you ever pitch in a game where it was so cold that it was tough to grip the ball? You just didn't have the feeling in your hands. Now the hitters kind of give you the indication that that may be the case at times. How about the pitcher?
Well, many times early in the season up here in Montreal or maybe even Minnesota, what are the northern parts, when you're playing in April, you're playing in weather sometimes 36, 38 degrees. I mean, and it's not much fun. And you try and work as fast as you can to keep warm. Try not to stand around.
Moreland at first, 2 outs. Trio the hitter. And with 2 on in the 9th inning yesterday, he hit a shot to left field. When it left his bat, I think both dugouts thought that might be a game-tying double. But Francona was able to go back and snare it for the last out of the game. 2 balls, no strikes. Trio, another good season for Philadelphia, hitting .287 on the year. Stars in the Phillies championship year last season. 3-0. So Gullickson, who walked Moreland on 4 pitches, falls behind Trio. 3-0. The pitcher Ruthven not on deck. They're going to allow him to stay in the dugout because of the weather. No, he's out there now.
Gets a strike at 3-0. The number 8th place hitter for a pitcher with 2 outs is a very important out, because if he can get this man out, he goes to the 3rd inning, the pitcher leading off. It's a very important out in strategy of pitching. That number 8 hitter with 2 outs, you want to get him out. It certainly doesn't want to walk him.
Get to right, and White gets all the outs in the inning. No hits, and the Phils leave their second man. Coming up for the Expos in the bottom of the inning, it'll be Carter, Parrish, and Franco's off the second inning. Thoughts about facing the Philly right-hander?
Batting against Dick Ruthven, I think that he's got a good variety of pitches, good live fastball, good breaking curveball, and a good changeup. Most of those pitches he tries to go in and out, but most of his pitches he'll keep away. So that's basically the way I'll approach him tonight, and I'll see probably more of an excess of breaking balls.
He guessed right. Opens with a breaking ball away. Carter had 2 home runs off Ruthven this year. Breaking ball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Yes, sir. That's good advanced planning. Change hit the corner. Carter didn't think so. Despite the shortened season, Carter caught over 100 games again this year. That gives him 5 consecutive years. So he's been the busiest catcher in the big leagues behind the plate the last 5 seasons. And he's produced with the bat. Finished at .251. 2-2.
Well, he is right. He's seen a lot of off-speed stuff and breaking balls off of Ruthven. He hit 4 home runs off this Philly team this year.
Outside, 3-2. And Moreland's throw outside, back to Ruthven.
Here comes the moment of truth of this 3-2 pitch. This is the 2-2 pitch prior to running the count to 3-2. Dick looks down, picks up the target as he goes to the plate. It's one thing that a lot of pitching coaches will tell you not to do. Some veteran pitchers might have different opinions about that.
Valenzuela, he looks up. Ruthven looks down and then picks up his target. Fastball off a broken bat to short. And Boa takes care of the rest. Rose one-hops the throw. Thus far, Ruthven has kept the Expos on the infield 4 consecutive outs. That great shot of Valenzuela, the Dodgers, where he looks high and almost closes his eyes before he picks up the target, and you look down before you come to the plate.
Well, one reason I do that, my theory of why I do that, Dick, is that I have in my mind where I'm going to throw the ball. And I look down, and as I go to home plate, I pick up the spot that I'm thinking of in my mind. And instead of looking at the entire strike zone, when I do come out, I've narrowed where I want to throw the ball down into just maybe a 6-inch box or whatever. I may, here as we look from the center field camera, as a pitcher, let's say you're thinking of yourself as going into home plate. Well, I might come in and try and pick up Larry Parrish's left elbow there. That's where I want to throw it, boom, right there. So I may pick that up as I go to home plate.
Even if you're throwing a pitch like that, a curveball away, that's the spot you're saying, that's your guiding point.
No, I would pick that up, say, for my fastball. But for the curveball, now let's say I want to throw a curveball. Look at Moreland's right knee. I may pick that up, boom, my head comes up, and I'll pick that up.
That's really narrowing your focus.
It's narrowing focus, but it's a discipline to get you to throw the ball where you want it. Instead of looking at the entire strike zone, I've gone, well, for me, it helps me. It also keeps my weight forward on my right foot as I go into my delivery. I don't get too far back. You get me started on this pitching stuff,
No,
we're going to get away from this ball game.
Hit right to third, and Schmidt with a long throw. Oh, and Rose can't come up with it. So Parrish safe on Schmidt's throwing error.
Schmidt, one of the great all-around athletes in the game, there's no question about it. A fine defensive third baseman, only 14 errors this year, but I think most of the Phillies talk about it. If he's going to make an error, it's going to be on his throw. 14 errors, a very respected player, obviously, around the league.
And Rose will pick that one out of the dirt 9 times out of 10, but not in this case. 1-out error, Parrish aboard. Here's young Terry Francona. A very familiar baseball name. His daddy, Tito Francona, 15 years of professional baseball, an outstanding left-handed hitter. Terry, a product of the University of Arizona, the 1980 College Player of the Year. He's made a quick trip to the majors.
In the runway after the game last night, Dick, I was walking back towards our trucks, and I saw Tito Francona. He had a bright, big, broad smile on his face after his son's catch in left field yesterday.
Francona family here to cheer on their young athlete son. Change fouled away. Thus far, Terry Francona has shown good contact. It earned his way up to the big leagues this year by hitting .352 at Memphis and then .350 at Denver, but hit only 1 home run all year in the minor leagues. His dad hit with a bit more power, and the Expos think that Francona may do the same as he develops. He's just a youngster. One ball, 2 strikes. Owner of the Philadelphia Phillies, Rudy Carpenter. Yeah, wasn't that far inside, was it?
Well, he's thrown him a couple of change-ups away, and after you said to hit her up, throw a couple of change-ups outside, that fastball inside is going to look a lot closer than it really is.
As pitchers, the fraternity will usually expound. Many hitters hit themselves because they're looking for that ball outside and can't get away from a pitch that really isn't that far inside. 3-2. We'll see if Parrish is going with 1 out. Yes. Ball 4. So Ruthven victimized by an error, and now his first walk, and without the aid of a base hit, Montreal threatens in the bottom of the second inning. Chris Spire steps in. One of the many college players on this Montreal team. He played at the University of California, Santa Barbara, but now makes his home year-round here in Montreal. Base hit. Might be a play at the plate. Throws offline, and everyone is safe.
McBride in right field does not have a strong throwing arm. Chris Spire simply punched that ball in the hole between second and first. The throw was offline, and Pete couldn't handle it. Everybody's safe all the way around. Francona at second, Spire at third, Spire at second base. There's a center field shot. McBride let the ball go. It just seemed to tail off, going toward the plate and then tail off toward the mound.
Certainly a good throw. Had an excellent chance of getting Parrish. It's 1-0 Montreal. Runners at second and third, so the Philly infield will come in tight. Jerry Manuel 0 for 4 yesterday. He's playing for the injured Rodney Scott. Infield tight, hitter's delight. A couple of years ago for Duffy Dyer. Popped up. Trio. Sometimes those little bloopers with the infield in can be disastrous, but it was high enough for Trio to collect it for the second out. So Manuel unable to get a run home on an out. Francona still at third. Spire at second. Jim Fanning, who took over the reins as the Montreal manager in September, sends his pitcher Bill Gullickson up there. I want to say hello to Dick Williams, the ex-skipper of the Expos. They say he left graciously his job here and said, I wish nothing but the best for Fanning and for this Montreal club. Dick and his friends and family watching down in Tampa, Florida tonight. Gullickson had 7 hits this year and 1 RBI. One swing. He could really help himself in this spot. Broken bat to Bowen. So Ruthven sawed off the opposing pitcher and gets out of it with 1 unearned run, 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 men left in scoring position. 1-0 Montreal. We'll be back after these messages from your local seat of the game. Some people just keep warm. 1-0 Montreal. A little heat set up by Gullickson to the opposing pitcher Dick Ruthven, who hit 140 on the year, 7 hits in 50 at-bats. Gullickson knocks it down and just does throw him out. Brings up the leadoff man, Lonnie Smith.
It's an example of good reflexes by that young kid. I talked to him before the game. He talked about a mature 22-year-old. I said, what's your out pitch? He says, well, depending on what kind of hitter. I said, you sound like a 32-year-old pitcher, not a 22-year-old. But he moved like a 22-year-old there and threw a seed over to first base.
And they say it's not just baseball where he reflects that maturation, that in all social and emotional aspects that he really handles himself like a man 10 years beyond his age. Smith to left center field. Dawson outruns it. Now Dawson has the second out of this third inning. 2 pitches, 2 outs. Pete Rose grounded to short his first time up. Now we talked about Ruthven dropping his head in his delivery. We're going to watch Gullickson and how he works the way most of us were taught, and that is you get your sign, you pick up the target, you go into the windup, you keep your eyes riveted on that target and throw it.
I think most pitchers, most pitching coaches would teach their young pitchers to keep their eye on that target all the time. And pitching is such a collection of little things. It's what's good for one may not be good for another. Personally, I find when I have my head back, where you can see Pete Rose's stats, what a year he had, I find that when I watch the sign all the way, watch the target all the way, my weight gets too far back. Just to have my head going back gets my weight too far back behind my right leg, whereas if I keep my head down, it keeps my weight right on top of my right leg. So it's a very fine line. And for some pitchers it will work, for other pitchers it won't work. But he has fine mechanics. He gets into fine throwing position.
He had plenty on that fastball, enough that Rose wanted to take a look at the ball. Strike 2. We talked with Pete early this year down in Clearwater in spring training. He said, name some of the young pitchers that you really liked last year, and he came up with Gullickson's name first. To Hopper, to Manuel, and Gullickson works another easy inning. 1, 2, 3, the Phillies go. And after 2.5 in Montreal, the Expos lead it 1-0. Off the Montreal third inning, the fun-loving, effervescent first baseman. We asked him if he ever gets nervous.
Yeah, the first time I've been nervous is when I left school, when I wasn't supposed to. My mother came and got me, and then later on, my father came and got me. But you know, there's nothing to compare with this. It's a whole different atmosphere, and let's hope we play some real good baseball.
Well, you don't forget when Mom and Dad come after you, you bet you're nervous. Part of the Miami connection from Marty and Dawson. Bounce back to the mound in the first inning. Ruthven, who changes speed so well, took a little off that one, drops it in for a strike. He's really enjoyed that leadoff spot since Tim Raines broke his hand in Chicago in mid-September. Turned that one over a little bit as he, again, took some speed off the fastball. 1-1.
Those are the kind of pitches that are going to make Dick Ruthven effective, that breaking ball. From Marty, a fastball hitter, try and hit the ball up in the alley in left field.
He likes to go to the opposite field. Yesterday, his single and his double, both to left field. Ruthven gave up over 6 runs, earned runs a game against Montreal this season. That one to right, and no one there. And Cromartie has a stand-up double.
Dick made a mistake on this pitch. It looks like either a changeup or a high fastball. Cromartie does like to go to left field with that ball, but he got it up and right in his eyes. He drilled it right up in the alley for a 2-base hit.
That ball, when it hits that wet carpet, really scoots. You can see some of the puddles on the warning pad.
The ball very active off those walls out there too, Dick.
And you mentioned the curve in the corners. It's like a hockey rink. Sharply to second. Cromartie advances to third on the ground out by White. Now he got his job done. So 1 out, runner at third, and Andre Dawson the batter. Dawson 27. And those are mighty impressive numbers. 302, 24 home runs, 26 stolen bases.
In yesterday's game, the Expos had a number of chances to score a lot more runs off of Carlton. Carlton got his outs when he needed to. Didn't pitch the kind of Steve Carlton game that we would expect from him. But Montreal has done their job here now. Cromartie gets a second, get him over to third, less than 2 outs, and you got your big guy up at the plate.
And with Gary Carter on deck. 1-0 Montreal in the last of the third, 1 out. Infield again plays in. On the curveball. Expos scored in the second inning. Harris safe on Schmidt's error. A walk to Francona, and Chris Spira single to right field. Check swing foul. 1-2 the count to Dawson, who won a Golden Glove and a Silver Bat last year. That's a pretty good quinella. Fielding and hitting. As we talked earlier, also great base speed. Big pitch, 1-2. Popped him up. Foul territory, Schmidt. So the Expos again will not score a run on and out. They had a chance, runners at second and third, and 1 out in the second, but Manuel popped up and Gullickson sent his off-liner to short. Gary Carter grounded to short his first trip. Some talk that Carter, who will play out his option next season, wanted to move to the West Coast. May just be some bargaining banter. He's the Johnny Bench of the 80s in the eyes of these Montreal fans.
He's a real favorite in this town. The fans, I'm sure, would hate to see him go if he decides to play out his option and go to California.
Hit deep to left field. Matthews back. Touch 'em all.
Did a good job getting Andre Dawson to pop up, and he went right behind Gary Carter. 1 ball, no strikes, and that looked like a changeup to me. Dick very upset. That's a bad mistake. You give a hitter like Gary Carter a pitch like that, off-speed pitch, and you hang it, get it up, they're not going to miss it very often. Big hit by the Expo catcher. 3-0 Expos.
So Gary Carter, who won the All-Star Game Most Valuable Player Award with 2 home runs, as the National League again beat the Americans. It's his first playoff home run with 2 out, and Cromartie at third. 3-0 Expos. Parrish. 5-0-1. Parrish, who struggled most of the year, had a fine September and was voted the Expos Player of the Year the final month of the year. Boa across to Rose. Inning is over, but not before Gary Carter had cleared the left field wall. 2 runs, 2 hits, no one left. It's 3-0 Montreal. Stadium, and Sandy Carter, Gary's lovely wife, as happy as any of them after her husband cleared the wall. A 2-run home run, and it's 3-0 Montreal as we go to the 4th inning. Bill Gullickson will face McBride, Schmidt, and Matthews for the Phillies. McBride, the Rookie of the Year in '74 in the National League with the St. Louis Cardinals. And he sends a soft out to third. McBride with the only hit for the Phillies. And in walk on that one from Gullickson. Schmidt grounded to short his first at bat. And here's Mike Schmidt's thoughts on the man he opposes now, the right-hander Gullickson of the Expos.
Well, Bill Gullickson, to me, is one of the best right-handers that I've ever faced. His record wouldn't indicate that, but it's no fun going into the batter's box. It's a real challenge for a hitter like myself. I got to lay off the high fastball, and when I get a pitch to hit, I got to do something with it because he's a tough pitcher. He's a strikeout pitcher, and we just have to hope he makes mistakes, walks some people, and we can take advantage of it.
So far, no mistakes to Schmidt or anyone else, as Gullickson combining that fastball with a crisp breaking ball. He calls it a slurve, half slider, half curve. That ball hit to center. And it's Dawson in between White and Manuel with a catch. For a moment there, I wasn't sure anyone was calling.
You know, Dick, the more you watch that guy, Dawson, he just reminds me so much of Willie Mays. Being able to cover so much of the outfield, great speed, great power. He's going to develop into the, if not already, the best player in the league. I think many people around, baseball people, would say it's a toss-up between Andre Dawson and Mike Schmidt right now.
He's been a well-kept secret, and part of that is the fact that he's playing here in Montreal, and a lot of the American fans don't hear the full details of his talent. The guys in the dugout know about Andre Dawson. Matthews, who had a solid season his first year in Philadelphia, hitting over 300. Right up there in many of the league categories. Went around, says Pulley. Third base umpire John Kibler.
Gullickson's got the ability to get his fastball over, his breaking ball over. That's the appeal play right there.
Fastball upstairs, and the count is 3-2. 2 outs in the fourth. The Phils are down 3-0 and down 1-0. To right for a base hit as he went the opposite way. So Matthews has the second Philadelphia hit. And it brings up catcher Keith Moreland.
Philadelphia's got 2 hits, Dick, both of them on 3-2 counts. And Gullickson there, 3-2, looked like he went to a breaking ball. Matthews was fooled at the ball in the hole on the other side, but interesting the fact that 2 hits that they do have, both of them on 3-2 counts.
Moreland walked his first time up. Both a baseball and football star at the University of Texas. Well, he wouldn't call himself a star. You want to talk to Keith Moreland, you just mentioned Longhorns, and he'll give you a 15-minute dissertation on Earl Campbell, his teammate. He just thinks he's the most awesome athlete he has ever encountered. Moreland was a defensive back, so he had to work against Campbell in practice. High in the air. Parrish waiting for it to come down. Rolled a foul pop. Moreland got it all, but straight up. No runs, a hit. The Phillies lead their third man. Middle of the fourth, the Expos lead by 3. Donald Sutherland stars in that motion picture. Quite a Montreal fan. He was here yesterday, and I guess Tom comes out to many of the home games of the Expos. Francona, bad hop, but Rose handles it and gets him at first. Ruthven covering. Francona out 3-1. Brings up Chris Meyer, who's had quite a series. Yesterday, an RBI double, then walked the next 3 times up, and his first time tonight, single to right to drive in a run. Here's his thoughts about the playoffs.
Yeah, it's only been a decade since my last one, and hopefully we can make out a little bit better than I did on my first try.
Of course, that was with the San Francisco Giants back in 1971, 10 years ago. Good, solid player. And again, the blend of age and youth on this Montreal team. The young kids looking at Sparrow saying, he's just so solid, nothing seems to upset him.
You're talking about experience, the Montreal people, coaches, that Aspires is a settling force in the infield. He doesn't have the range that a lot of shortstops might have, but he makes the plays that he gets to. That's about the steady plays. Every ball that he gets to, he's got a chance, got a fine, accurate, consistent arm. Turns a double play as well as anybody can turn a double play.
He's made his adjustment through the years, hitting .225 this year. First came up, he had some power. I think one year he had 14, 15 home runs with the Giants. He had only 2 home runs this year, so he's just gone up on the bat, trying to make contact, and has done that so far against the Phillies. Schmidt to Rose, and there's 2 away. Now, the crowd here is certainly different from any other Major League park that I've been in. Does it strike you that way?
Well, I noticed that when I come up here, Dick, definitely. They seem to get lulled into periods of silence. Maybe it's just an international type of crowd, but they get lulled into periods of silence. In the Philadelphia bullpen, Warren Brewster, but they'll get up real high and get very active and yell, and then they'll come back and seem to sit down and quiet down for a while.
Whereas most of the American crowds, there's something always happening. There's always that rumble. And here, it's almost as if they're at an opera or at the theater. They really become very quiet.
And they wait for the exciting event to happen. And when it does happen, well, they really get involved. And like you say, the American crowds all over the United States and the ballparks, it's always that din, that buzz that's always going through the stadium, no matter where you are. Here, that's missing.
Manuel lays off the breaking ball, and it's 2-1. Almost the way the crowd reacts, it's like a hockey rush from end to end. They build in their spirit. Boy, when the goal is scored, it's pandemonium, and then it's almost as if someone waves a baton, everyone relaxes, sits back down, waits for the next sports crescendo. Manuel pops it up, might be a play for Moreland. Back in the second row. Ruthven will hit third in the next inning for the Phils. Now, Brewster warming up. Part of that may be thoughts of using a pinch hitter. Two outs in the fourth. Ruthven and the Phils trail Montreal 3-0. So far in the playoffs, the horses are going wire to wire. When you win the first one, you get the second one too, and that's what Montreal trying to do. Schmidt handles Manuel's ground ball, and Ruthven settles down and gets the Expos in order, all on ground balls in the fourth, and after 4, Montreal 3, Philadelphia nothing. We'll be right back after these messages from your locals. 4-inning totals here in Olympic Stadium, Montreal. 3 runs, 3 hits, no errors, and 2 men left for the Expos. No runs, 2 hits, an error, and 3 left for Philadelphia. Gullickson will face the lower third of the Phils order: Boa, Trio, and Ruthven. Larry's third best average in his career, 12 years with the Phils, at .283 this season. Feisty competitor. One of the many athletes out of Sacramento, California. They've had such a great program in that city. Behind the plate, Parrish, Spire, Manuel, and Cromartie on the infield. Francona in left, Dawson in center, and White in right. Hit to left. Spire going out and calling. The ball is shallow fly to left, handled by the Montreal shortstop.
I was wandering around on the field before the game trying to get the lineup for the Expos, and I ran into Bill Gullickson over there. You know, he's a diabetic, and he takes his insulin shot at about 12 o'clock on the day of a night game. And I ran into him. I said, "Where are you going?" He says, "I'm going down to have dinner." And this is about 3 hours before the game. And he says, yeah, the day of a game, I have to go down and eat a little bit more than I normally would at this time, or else I can't make it through. Just another part of his life. Something else you talked about is maturity. Something else that he's dealt with very successfully, very easily.
Well, what a fastball on the outside corner. When would you normally eat on the day you pitch?
Night game, 8 o'clock. I'd be having a meal or about 1 or 2 o'clock, and that would be it until post game.
Another one off the fists, and Manuel out to make the play. They're going to have to call up Louisville, get a new order of bats. There have been a lot of broken ones tonight.
We'll have to get Pee Wee Reese on the phone down there, have a special order. He's not throwing many pitches down the middle of the plate. 2 jam shots in this inning. Hitter's off balance because he can get his breaking ball over at any time. Good hard fastball.
Gross will pinch hit for Dick Ruffin. So Ruffin works the first 4 innings, giving up 3 runs, 2 of them earned. And the big blow, Carter's 2-run home run. He gets it up there in a hurry. Gross last year hit 240 with the Phillies. He's always been a solid hitter, a 295 lifetime average in the big leagues. 2-0. Didn't miss by much. Greg was part of the Manny Trio trade coming to Philadelphia from Chicago. 2-1. That was a good deal for the Phillies. They also got Dave Rader, while the Cubs in return received Barry Foote, Jerry Martin, Ted Sizemore, and a couple of minor leaguers.
Gross is part of Dallas Green's left-handed duo coming off the bench.
Senor Ruben Amaro with a fine. He always had good hands with a nice bare-handed stab of that foul ball.
There's Warren Brewster. He's going to be the Phillies' next pitcher. Gross comes up in these situations. Del Unser is the other left-handed pitcher used by Dallas Green. Unser having a little bit more power used in situations when Green might need a double or an extra base hit.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bases empty in the Philadelphia 5th inning. 3-0. Montreal leads it. Out of play. Did you ever buy that theory that when you saw a batter for the first time and he wore glasses that you tried to pitch him low?
Oh,
never heard that one.
Not only didn't I buy it, it's the first time I've ever heard it. That takes you back a few years.
Well, I'll try. I'm going to have to write Drysdale and ask him about that one. Out of play again. Big right-hander with the Dodgers. He used to say that I figure if he's got glasses, he can't see too well. I'm going to pitch it far away from his eyes as I can.
Yeah, you wonder what a hitter does when he fouls off a pitch that he thinks he should have hit. Gross probably should have punched that down the left field line for a double.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Three and 2. No, says third base umpire Kibler. That call is guaranteed to get a boo from the home crowd, although it appeared that Gross did hold back. Full count, 5th inning. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn here in Montreal for Game 2. Have to borrow some of Nanook of the North's equipment that Brian Gumble had in the pregame show. Hit well, and a good play by Manuel. He certainly attacked that ground ball with some aggression. So through 5 innings, the halfway mark in this one, 4.5 innings in the book, gets Montreal in command. Made that play, and that ball's hit hard. Closing out the 5th inning. So Bill Gullickson has given up just a couple of singles through the first 5 innings. Meanwhile, the Expos have gotten him 3 runs. And at this point, the series and the game is all Montreal.
It's all Montreal, and it's all chilly up here, too.
They don't seem to mind. Warren Brewster takes over for the Phils. 14 games in '81. Ruthman, 4 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned. 3 hits, 1 walk. Gullickson sent a soft liner to short his first at bat. Now breaking ball, and the fans reacting to Gullickson's move away from the plate. Those pitchers aren't going to wait for that thing to curve. 1-1. Did you ever buy that theory, Tom Seaver, that
Another one.
you take it easy on the opposing pitcher?
Oh, no, never. Maybe once with Jerry Kuzma when I pitched against my buddy. That was all.
2-2. If you get him in 3 pitches, you want him out of there. Brewster takes care of Gullickson. And we're pleased you joined us from Montreal, Dick Enberg and Tom Seaver. And we'll be back with you tomorrow from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, Game 3 and Games 4 and 5 if necessary. So far, the teams that win just seem to keep right on going. Oakland and the Yankees are already had 2 games to none. And Houston, the only National League teams have won at home. The American League teams have lost at home. Cromartie. This telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball, intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. He fouls it away, and it's 1-2. He doubled to open that 3rd inning and scored on Carter's home run. Game time tomorrow, both for the Dodgers, Houston from Los Angeles, and Montreal at Philadelphia, 4 o'clock Eastern time. So they'll be starting at 4 in Philly and 1 o'clock game in Los Angeles.
I wonder if they're going to have the sun out for us tomorrow in Philadelphia.
I'm getting so acclimated to this. I'm getting to like it.
Those long johns you have on every day, you ought to like it. Red ones yesterday, blue ones today.
I got them all on tonight. Cromartie downswing, so Brewster has come in to strike out Gullickson and Cromartie.
Cromartie, who has really hit well since Jim Fanning moved him in that leadoff position. Cromartie's a guy with a sense of humor on that ball club. He's the guy chirping around the batting cage, always getting on his teammates, always laughing, always smiling. Got a needle for somebody. Great sense of humor. They say that he's been here for, what, 4 or 5 years, doesn't know the signs yet. That's his teammates, of course, give it right back to him.
Fouled by White. It's 1-1. Who's the court jester on the Reds ball club? Have one?
We have more than one. You're sitting next to one.
I know that.
David Concepcion, our new 5-year shortstop.
He'll really be full of fun, won't he?
Yes, he'll be a baller last next year. I'm glad we've got him back, though.
It's 3-0 Montreal in the last of the 5th inning. Bases empty and 2 out. Jerry White, the batter. On baseball news, Bobby Maddox is the Toronto manager, will move back into the front office. Rumors are that Bobby Cox, fired with the Braves, the Atlanta Braves, might become the new manager of the Blue Jays. Joe Torre, fired by the Mets this year, working the radio broadcast of this game tonight. And in the case of both those disposed managers that sometimes the jockey can't carry the horse across the finish line. The jockey looks for a new mount. First thoughts, rumors are more than rumors that Dallas Green is going to be leaving the Phillies. Oops, that one's scooting right off Boa's glove.
Now that's an example of the reaction of the ball off that wet AstroTurf, the areas of the infield, although the field was covered for most of the day when it was raining. They took the tarp off when they did some hitting. Parts of that infield are wet, and that ball hits those wet spots out there. It will really scoot.
Yeah, the game looks so easy when you watch it on television or when you look at it from opposition. And it is an experience, even when the carpet is dry, to field a ground ball for the first time off the artificial surface. You can get yourself handcuffed in a hurry, much less when it scoots the way it squirted off the grass or the artificial grass that time. Andre Dawson up, 2 out. And Brewster keeping an eye on White. Dawson, of course, you get a star like he is, you want a nickname. They call him Hawk here and Awesome Dawson. What do you call him, Tom?
Can't tell you.
I imagine you can't.
Depends if he strikes out or if he hits the ball hard or hits the ball out of the ballpark. He got a great swing, very fast inside. It looks like he's going into that play like you'd be able to pitch him inside, but he is quick in there. Extremely quick inside. If you're going to go inside with him, boy, you really got to get in there hard. Don't feel too sorry for those players sitting on that bench. There's heaters up above them. Should we tell them there's heaters up above us, too, or not? There's an example of that right there.
Louis Aguayo, he was taking batting practice yesterday in earmuffs, and they were inside. 2-1. The Expos trying to win the first 2 at home, where they had the best record of any National League team. They're going to Philadelphia, and the Phillies had the second best home record in the league. There he goes. Jerry White, who stole twice yesterday successfully, gets himself in scoring position with 2 out in the 5th.
Moreland doesn't get a bad pitch to handle. Fastball down and in. Jerry White, a good jump on Warren Brewster. Stole the base relatively easily. Billy Williams right on top of the call at second base. Good shot from our left field camera. Nice hop-up slide.
Yeah, White trying to pick up the slack. Tim Raines, who set an all-time Major League stolen base record for a rookie, was 71, and Rodney Scott with 30, 101 stolen bases, basically out of the lineup. Dawson a check swing, and Boa trying to come to the plate, and White is out. So Boa actually made that play as the ball was by him into center field, and alertly knowing he couldn't get Dawson at first base, made the quick spin and caught White rounding third.
Dawson hits the ball right back up the middle. Good heads-up play by Larry Boa, the shortstop. A lot of experience at that shortstop position. He knows he has no chance at Dawson at first. Turns around and picks up White going home. Good heads-up play.
And a perfect 4-hop throw to Moreland for the out. It remains 3-0 Montreal. Again, as Boa, realizing he couldn't get Dawson, took his time, did not get a very strong throw as he dribbled it in, but had plenty of time as White rounded third, was too far toward home, could not retreat. Boa had him either way, no matter which way White might have wanted to go. So that saves it from 4-0. The Phils down by 3, and they start with the leadoff man Smith, Rose, and McBride to follow. Gullickson has pitched a strong 5 innings, 1 walk and 2 singles. And there's a base hit. And he
You see how quick that center fielder has to be. That's just an average single on grass, but on the carpet, that can become a double in a hurry. Well, it's a good example of the respect that Lonnie Smith has for the arm of an Andre Dawson. First pitch fastball, Lonnie Smith, first ball fastball, hitter up and out of the plate, and he shoots it up in that gap. It stays at first simply because of the arm that Dawson does have in center field. That's a significant base hit by Smith because he had a 24-game hitting streak, or 23-game hitting streak to end the season. He hit safely yesterday, again today. Those won't count. The playoff records do not count. Rose, easy fly to left, and Francona there. The all-time, the reason we say it's significant in that Smith now hitting safely 23 plus 2, that's just one shy of the all-time Philadelphia consecutive game record, Chuck Klein. Great star of the Phillies. Back in 1930, hit safely in 26 in a row. I think he did it twice. So Smith up there with some great names on this run through September and now into October. Mr. and Mrs. Don Gullickson. Don and Nancy Gullickson from Kankakee or Peoria. Here tonight that you're on this or Joliet. Name any other city, because they all want to claim Gullickson around Chicago. Quite a family. And when you talk about a young man and the praise that Tom Seaver has offered his attributes, and you're really praising the parents. McBride up, 1 out, 1 on. Gullickson hasn't had to work from the stretch too much tonight. Well, he's been doing things correctly, Dick. And getting ahead of his hitters, getting both pitches over. Getting ahead of hitters, getting ahead in that count is such an important aspect of pitching. Here we are in the 6th inning. He's really only been behind, and not by behind, I mean run to a 3-2 count. Gotten a 3-1, 2-0. He's only been in that situation 5 times tonight. In there, and it's 1-2. That's the name of the game, pitching low strikes. Ahead of the hitters, good low strikes. You do that, you're going to win a majority of your games. You know, you look at his numbers, looking at them before the game, just 7 and 9, but you could tell by the 157 innings pitched in that 2.8 ERA, in a much better year than 7 and 9. Could be 2. Manuel with a fine stop. Force at second base. There's the defensive play of the game by Jerry Manuel. Here comes the crowd. We talked a little bit about the defense of Montreal yesterday. The defensive play of the game yesterday made by Larry Parrish. Here Manuel makes by far the best defensive play of the game. Chris Spire had no chance on McBride at first base. You see McBride coming in, but Spire, because Manuel had trouble getting the ball out of his glove after making that diving stop, threw the timing off of Spire, and he had to make sure he got the 1 out. Here's Mike Schmidt. He's grounded out and flied out. Talk about that being a defensive play. That ball goes through. Mike Schmidt comes up with 1 out and 2 men on. One swing of the bat, you could have a tie ball game. And all of a sudden, Mike Schmidt, even if he does hit it out, he's still ahead by a run. Schmidt, 0-for-5 in the series. Consider the shortened season, and Schmidt led all of the major league hitters with 31 home runs and 91 runs batted in. Just did edge out George Foster in the final week. This is Cromartie. Warren Cromartie's mother, Marjorie. 2-0 to Schmidt. Ooh, he had a good cut. Fouled it away. Well, he got Gullickson in position now. Bill has been ahead of his hitters, but what Mike Schmidt will do to a pitcher, you come up there, he's got such awesome power and such a devastating swing, and they ought to be so careful on this first couple of pitches, and before you know it, Mike Schmidt hitting 2-0. even in a situation where he can't tie the game up. That's really the first mistake that Gullickson has made running the count to 2-0, because Schmidt had a fine cut on that. He just missed that ball.
2 outs, a runner at first base. McBride. 3-0 Montreal here in the 6th inning. Another foul out of play.
Gullickson came right back to challenge Schmidt.
Both those pitches. Now what is he going to feed him? 2-2. Threw him a couple of fastballs, and now he's back even.
Well, he 2-0. Boom, boom. 2 good fastballs. Got it to even 2-2. Now he comes back to the driver's seat. He can throw the fastball inside, throw the curveball. But if he misses, goes back to 3-2. The favorite got to swing back to Schmidt in that situation.
So 3-2 you feel is the hitter's pitch.
That's an advantage to the hitter.
Little high. Although you see Pulley with a left thumb indicating it might have been a little inside, and it was close.
Well, he answered our question which way he was going to go. That's a good up and in fastball that Mike barely held. That's his strength, being able to hold up on that pitch. It was unhittable. Just missed. Now 3-2. What's he going to throw? Is he going to go back in there with that fastball? Can't walk him. You can't walk him. You have to go after him in this situation. Up by 3 runs.
McBride, of course, will be off with a pitch. Check swing to third. Parrish has to go the long. No runs. 1 hit, 1 left, and 1 outstanding defensive play by Jerry Manuel. And the Expos maintain their 3-0 lead. Home run, the big blow in this one. They asked him before the game about his objective today.
Very big plus to win that first ball game, especially since we beat a premier pitcher in Steve Carlton, and that just has given us the overall confidence to carry over into tonight's ball game against Dick Ruthven.
And of course that confidence spells a 3-0 lead, and Ruthven already in the showers. Sparky Lyle begins to warm up for Philadelphia. Brewster. Of course, that may be optimistic thinking on the part of Dallas Green, and that Brewster would hit 5th in the 7th inning. His 2nd inning of pitching.
Well, especially in this weather, you're going to have to give your pitchers a little bit more time to get loose. There's Sparky Lyle, veteran left-hand reliever for the Phillies. In Boston, played for the Yankees, Texas.
Out of the Bronx Zoo. World Series, here we come. Bad hop, but Boa handles it nicely. First championship for Montreal, of course, alluding to a big league championship for many, many years. The old Montreal Royals of the International League were a dominant team, the top farm club of the Brooklyn Dodgers. In fact, Tommy Lasorda, he still claims he was the Warren Spahn of the International League. Never quite got his chance in the big leagues.
Gene Mock played up here. Jackie Robinson played in Montreal.
And a great baseball town for a long time prior to becoming a major league town. Larry Parrish, safe on an error and scored. Came around on Spire's single in the 2nd. And grounded to short his other time up. Francona would be next. 1-2.
You know, talking about this town, Dick, and the ball team they have now, I mean, their heroes are Dawson and Carter and Cromartie and the rest of them. You know, like any franchise team, any expansion team, they progressed. The early days of Rusty Staub and John Bacabella. They have quite a history. They had very colorful players up here early. Mac Jones, remember Mac Jones, the left fielder? They used to have Jones over at old Jerry Park. They had the Vance in left field, Mac Marauders or whatever they were. A lot of names have come through this franchise, and they have themselves a fine team now.
Yeah, they became a winner 3 years ago in '79. Again, last year,
losing out in the final week's final game. And this year, on the final Saturday, clinching a playoff spot in this unusual baseball year. Francona falls behind 0-2. Apparently the temperature has not dropped. Still a comfortable 46 degrees.
If I was wearing long johns, it'd be comfortable too.
Base hit to right field. Here that McBride was having trouble picking up the ball in the lights. That's the 5th Montreal hit tonight. Steve Burrows, first base coach.
I think McBride either lost the ball in the lights or misjudged the ball. You couldn't really tell how hard that Francona had hit it. Francona looked like he just reached down there with about a 6-iron and golfed it to right field.
Second hit off Brewster. And Chris Spire. RBI single and 2 trips. There goes the runner. And Francona, not known for his speed, is in scoring position.
I think that caught a couple people by surprise. One of them, Brewster, the pitcher. Francona does not have better than average speed, but he did get a good jump at first base.
He had only 1 stolen base since being recalled from the minor leagues.
Slide into second, a la Pete Rose, head first.
And now they're going to walk Spire. And they'll take their chances on the lighter hitting Jerry Manuel, who is still looking for his first playoff hit, 0 for 6. And Spire's been tough. You saw Dallas Green, and it is a small world, baseball. Green, who came from the front office and became the manager and brought the Philadelphia Phillies their first World Series championship last year, and now Jim Fanning called out of the front office, where he's been a vice president, player development, working so closely with the youngsters in the farm. And now he's done a great job in September, and now it's Fanning looking for that dream come true. And as he said to us 2 days ago, he said, John McHale wants me to go back to the front office. That's exactly what I'll do. I belong to the organization. And I said, but once you get a taste of it, down here, and the wind and the crowd, the roar of the crowd, he said, listen, I'm not married. My life is baseball, and I owe it to the Montreal Expos. Whatever they want, I'll do it.
Well, he was very big on saying that he is a company man, and it depends on which way he wants to go. That's a shot of the scoreboard here at Olympic Stadium. You can see the French on top, English on the bottom, ball freeze and retreats. 2 retreats we have here.
Manuel's trying to make it 3, and does. 3. And that's it for the Expos in the 6th. No runs, a hit, and 2 left. We go to the 7th. Phillies need 3 to tie, as they do throughout the big leagues. Whenever Canadian team plays an American team, both national anthems saluted. And a nice crowd tonight, 45,896 to see game 2 of this playoff series. And Montreal trying to go back to Philadelphia, putting the pressure on the World Series champs. And Gullickson has played and pitched as well as a man can.
He is the main man putting the pressure on that Philly offense. There's no question about it.
He'll face Gary Matthews, Keith Moreland, and Larry Boa. And so far in these first 2 games, the Expos hitting timely, pitching outstanding, and defense flawless. Matthews a single to right field his last time up. Let's just study Bill Gullickson in this inning and expert eye of Tom Seaver. Was that a wicket breaking ball? What an optical illusion.
After the first pitch, he gets his strike on the first pitch. That's a good slider running off the plate. Another breaking ball, curveball. Head of the hitter, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now he's got a whole bunch of things that he can do. Go outside, go inside.
Goes up with a fastball, and Matthews, second strikeout victim of Gullickson. Last September, not 1981, but in 1980, Gullickson struck out 18 Cubs in a game. Of course, that's just one off the Major League record.
Good example of setting up a pitch. Threw the slider away earlier. First fastball that Matthews seen, and this time at bat, and he's way behind it.
Now facing Keith Moreland, who has walked and fouled out. Fouls that one back. Let's see, you share the Major League record in 9 innings, 19 strikeouts with Steve Carlton, Nolan Ryan.
Our buddy Nolan Ryan down in Houston did that when he was chunking for the old California Angels out there, didn't he?
I had a pleasure to call that one, as I did his no-hitters with the Angels, and I know I was as pleased as you were to help celebrate from long distance Ryan's 5th no-hitter. Quite a man.
You look at Gullickson, he's got a great frame for there's a ball in the field that Frank Crona is retrieving. That comes out of the Philly bullpen down the left field line. Gullickson's got a great frame.
He's built like Ryan, bed on maybe a little stockier through the torso. Powerful legs as you have, and Ryan has always credited the power in his legs.
6'3", 210's got big thighs, got a big rear end, a lot of muscle mass down there. Absorb the strain of pitching, a lot of power involved in those legs. And he gets down, he drives with them too. I mean, he uses them. He doesn't just use them as a fulcrum. He gets down and drives with that back leg. Very impressed with his maturity.
Just 22 years of age. That's one of the few pitches that he didn't really throw well.
I suppose the Phillies are impressed with his fastball and his curveball right now. You can see how he gets down and drives with that back leg, pulls the left side down, pulling that left side down, and pulls the right side up and gets the arm in a throwing position.
Out of the way. Well, the Expos and everyone around the major leagues knew that Gullickson was a great prospect. He had 6 no-hitters in high school in Joliet, Illinois. And there were a great talent in that 77 draft. Harold Baines was picked first, and he's made it already to the big leagues. Terry Kennedy, the Cardinals, now playing with San Diego, and Paul Molitor, we've seen with the Brewers in the playoffs, and Gullickson. And the Expos had second pick and picked Gullickson over Kennedy and Molitor. Another chance for Parrish, and scooped out by Cromartie. Now Gullickson continues his surgical job on the field.
Parrish, like Mike Schmidt, is a fine defensive player. Larry's got a very strong arm. He really has a cannon over there at third base. This one a little bit low, and Cromartie does a good job of digging it out, but Parrish has as strong a throwing arm as any third baseman in the league.
2 out. And Boa, the batter, looking for his first playoff hit. He's 0 for 5.
Parrish is another one of those Montreal players from Florida. Big sportsman down there. When the Reds came in to play the Expos here, he was telling me about a 24-pound bass that was caught down in that Central Florida area. That raised a few eyebrows in our dugout.
The alligator's not that big down there. Yes, it is a good Florida connection between the Expos and the deep south of the United States, with 3 starters, Cromartie, Dawson, and Parrish. And also Raines is from down Seminole State. 1-1 to Boa. Gullickson keeping it quiet on the Philadelphia side. Another soft chop to short. Spirer. And for the 3rd time tonight, Gullickson retires the Phils in order. And they're standing in Montreal, the 7th inning stretch. And the Expo fans pleased with that score. 3-0. 3-0. feet for Bill Gullickson. Pitcher, and again, these Canadian fans, the highs are extreme, as are the lows, the valleys. $45,000 umpires. Gullickson, Boa, easy out. He'll get another hand as he goes to the dugout.
They went from cheers to boos almost on cue there, didn't they, on that one call?
Veterans Sparky Lyle worked in 48 games, ERA up there. At one time in the middle of the year, talked about retiring. He was going to quit, was unhappy with his work, but reconsidered. Gullickson has completed 3 games of 22 starts, so just in case, veteran Bill Lee starts tuning up in the Expo pen. Doubled and scored and struck out. Expos scored in the second inning off Dick Ruthven. Nice bunt. Schmidt. And I believe they'd have had him had Rose been able to pick it out of the dirt.
Bruce Romine at first base, the first base umpire did call him out. We talked about the exceptional athletes on this field, and Cromartie and the other one, and Mike Schmidt. Look at this play. Really, as no small man comes in bare hands, off balance, and fires the ball down there. Pete just could not hold on to it. And Fromming had called Cromartie out. Had Pete been able to hold on to the ball, you'll see Bruce to your right there.
Another good angle. Look at it. Cold hands or not, Schmidt with a great barehanded pickup and had to throw there in time. Rose for the second time tonight, unable to dig a throw out. They'll give him a base hit. Tough play. 6th Montreal hit tonight. White 0 for 3. The runs for Montreal, second inning, an error, a walk, and an RBI single by Spire. In the third inning, Cromartie doubled, and Gary Carter hit a home run over the left field wall. That's been the story. And Bill Gullickson has handcuffed the Phils on just 3 singles through 7 innings.
Montreal fans boo, and even when you try and pick somebody off, I guess they don't think that's fair. Lyle's the third pitcher for the Phillies tonight, and Ron Reed starts throwing in the Philadelphia bullpen. We saw Reed in yesterday's game.
And Tug McGraw going down there now. First time we've seen White bat from the right side in the series. 1 for 7 from the left side. Rose rubbing the dirt off the ball just in case Cromartie had wandered away. Get an easy out. Good cut at a 2-0 pitch. White, of course, into the starting lineup since the injury to Tim Raines. It's a shame that the Expos and the country denied the chance to see the exciting Raines play, although he is available. He's on the 25-man roster and could be used as a pinch runner. Ball 3.
Well, let's see if they play hit and run or they let Cromartie go here.
He was swinging 2-0. So you got to figure that if he likes it, he's going to give it a cut.
Chance to start a little action one way or the other. Lyle's not going to let him go for nothing.
He goes. And he is out of there. Good throw by Moreland. So White unable to make contact. And Cromartie thrown out.
Cromartie not known for his speed or his base stealing ability. Borland got a good throw off. And a little simple tag by Manny Trio, the second baseman. And Philadelphia gets their second out.
And now White walks. And of course, in Cromartie's behalf, that was not a steal. It was hit and run or run and hit. And he was going to make sure that Lyle delivered the ball before he made his break. It's up to the hitter to make contact. White is aboard. 2-out walk. First by Lyle, and it brings up Andre Dawson. Here we want to send along belatedly our congratulations on so many outstanding years, decades of baseball broadcasting. When you came to the playoffs and the World Series so many times, we heard Jack Brickhouse, the voice of the Chicago Cubs for over 40 years. Jack has announced his retirement at the end of this year, and they had a big day for him in Chicago. They're going to name the radio booth part of the press box after Jack Brickhouse, and to a good friend and a man who's contributed to this job. We wish him many, many happy years. Thanks for all the great memories and work.
Jack Brickhouse and all the fans in Chicago remember, hey, 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 every time a home run out of Wrigley Field.
Dawson with a rip at a 2-0 pitch. In the bullpen, the left-hander McGraw, the right-hander Reed. Dawson, 1 for 3, an infield hit. White, remember, has stolen tonight and had 2 steals yesterday, so he's a threat with 2 outs to go. It's 3-0 Montreal, and they're trying to add to their lead here in the 7th. 2 gone. Lyle and Rose playing catches, trying to keep White close. A little quick pitch there from Lyle, and it's fouled by Dawson. White saying something to first base umpire Bruce Froemming.
There's Spanky right there, as he's known in the National League. Bruce Froemming. What a sense of humor that guy's got. I think they got to send White here. 2-2. Dawson's got 2 strikes on him. Even if he does get thrown out, Dawson leads off the next inning. You save Dawson, give him almost 2 at-bats. Good play. One way or the other. If he makes it, he's in scoring position.
Going this time. 3-2, 2 out. Crowd really suddenly showing all kinds of life. Beginning to celebrate as we come now to the 7th inning. Hit hard, and Trio gets him. Dawson didn't seem to think so. Trio a little trouble getting the ball out of his glove, and he had to hurry that throw as Dawson was sprinting.
3-2 pitch, it's sharply up the middle. Manny had time, had trouble getting out of his glove, but he, according to Bruce Froemming, good, great hand. Make up your mind at first base.
2 innings to go. Montreal by 3. Not the Montreal 7th, and apparently good cause for argument by the Expos. Bang, bang. Manny Trio made that play, leads off the Philadelphia 8th inning. The Expos in front 3-0. And how interesting the pattern of these playoff games. So far, the Oakland A's have won their first 2 against Kansas City. The same for the Yankees at Milwaukee and for the Astros at home against the Dodgers. And thus far, in the 7 playoff games, the losing team, most runs they've scored is 3, and that's only on 1 occasion. And all the rest, losing team has either been shut out or scored just 1 run, and so it is tonight through 7, 3-0. There are the numbers. Pitching prevailing.
Well, pitching the story tonight here, Dick. Bill Gullickson has never faced more than 4 men in 1 inning, and he's making it look easy. I mean, the team that he's facing, that Philadelphia Philly club, is not loaded with punch and judies. I mean, they can put some points on that scoreboard, as they call them here in Montreal, and he's simply shut their whole offense down.
Top scoring and hitting team in the National League. And they've got just 6 outs left in case Jim Fanning has his bullpen ready, his top left and right-hander, Fryman and Reardon. Foul back. The Phillies did not win in Montreal all season. 0-5 in the regular season. Lost last night or yesterday afternoon. Pop behind second into shallow right center. Dawson. Yes, sir. Gullickson has spread those 3 hits out rather nicely. One in the first by McBride, the other in the 4th from Matthews, and the 3rd hit in the 6th inning by Lonnie Smith. In that inning, a fine defensive play on McBride's ball by the second baseman Manuel snuffed out the only near threat the Phils have had.
As you mentioned last inning, Gullickson 3 complete games and 22 starts. Going into this inning, he had 92 pitches. So far, he should still be strong, especially with the cool weather. Throwing a lot of strikes, getting ahead of his hitters, mixing up his pitches, doing the kinds of things that a pitcher has to do to win ball games.
George Vukovic, who had a base hit as a pinch hitter in the last inning yesterday, batting for Sparky Lyle. Al Gullickson has certainly carried out his game plan just for
I think in order to beat the Phillies, I have to go out and pitch my game, go out there, keep them honest, don't let them sit on my fastball, get my breaking ball over in a fastball situation.
That's simple enough. Breaking ball over in a fastball situation. A delayed call from plate umpire Foley, and Vukovic takes a walk. 3rd strikeout from Gullickson.
Boy, he is pitching himself a game that he will remember for a long time if he can get 4 more outs here, isn't he?
And the Phils know that after Carlton, there's no question that the Expos have more strength in the starting pitching, and that was even before they saw Gullickson tonight. There's a base hit. Lonnie Smith finds the alley and has a 2-out double. So Smith, who had 2 hits yesterday, 2 more again today. First extra base hit for Philadelphia.
Smith singled last time up here, a fastball. Gullickson, one of the few pitches that he's really thrown out over the plate. Lonnie just turned it around. That ball really scoots on that AstroTurf when it's wet, doesn't it? Wow, even Dawson. You would think as good as anybody be able to cut that ball off. The ball scooted right by him all the way through to the wall.
Pete Rose wearing the collar. That didn't happen very often. He's trying to pick up the Phils' first run. Grounded to short, to second, and fly to left. Never missed a game as a Phil. He just didn't want to sit on that bench. He just wasn't built for not playing. Soft to left. And the Phils get a run on a bloop single by Rose. It's 3-1. Yeah, there won't be so many bees in the hands on that one after you get a base hit and an RBI.
Well, it's not very pretty, but it puts a run on the board. That's what they need. Galen Cisco coming out of the Montreal dugout to have a talk with his young pitcher. Cisco, of course, the pitching coach for the Montreal Expos. There's that last pitch, fastball inside that Pete just fights off and hits the left field. Chris Pryor not able to make the play. And the Phillies are on the board.
And the tying run comes to the plate. Rose at first as Cisco, just with a brief word with Gullickson, dugout. Galen, a former pitching coach at Kansas City and former outstanding football player at Ohio State. McBride trying to keep it alive with Schmidt and Matthews, two men who can hit that ball out of the park behind him. Not that McBride can't, but certainly the others are more serious home run threats. Bake had 2 home runs during the course of this year. A 2-out double by Smith and a single by Rose has made it 3-1 Montreal. Gullickson with his parents looking on. 1-0 to McBride. Out of play.
Still looks like he's got a good fastball, Dick. In this situation right here, facing Big McBride, Rose on first. His hand is still stinging from that last base hit. This situation right here is the biggest out that he's had in the ball game so far. Pitcher normally has got to get 4 or 5 or 6 outs in a ball game to win it. And this is the big one because the man on deck is Mike Schmidt.
Out of play, and he's in front of McBride. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
If you get Mike Schmidt out, Mike Schmidt leads off in 9th. He can't tie up the ball game. He can't get into a situation where he can hurt you.
So McBride, who was elevated from the 5th spot behind Schmidt to the 3rd spot, trying to give his teammate, the home run RBI leader in the National League and the Major Leagues, a chance to swing here in the 8th inning with a chance to get the Phils not only in the game but ahead. And he's done it. Rose around 2nd to 3rd on a double by McBride, and the tying run in scoring position for Mike Schmidt. Gullickson, giving up 3 hits in the game, suddenly gives up 3 consecutive hits in the 8th inning.
All with 2 outs, too. Got 2 outs in the inning very quickly. And Jim Fanning comes out of that dugout. That's going to be a no. Now he goes back. Maybe his bullpen is not ready. There's the pitch to McBride. Rips a double down that right field line. Yes, here he comes. Fanning's coming out now. This, boys, it's a fine ball game. You'll get a fine hand from these people here at Olympic Stadium.
You don't have to be a Montreal fan to give him some applause. That just was some superb work by a 22-year-old. Bill Gullickson. We'll hear a lot from him. Jeff Reardon, acquired from the Mets in the deal for Ellis Valentine at mid-year, is coming in from the bullpen. We're going to see Gullickson off as we pause for this word.
It's the one event that more than any other brings out the youth in all of us. Baseball fever. Catch it. It's worth it.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Gullickson did get a tremendous ovation as he left the field, replaced by Jeff Reardon. Mike Schmidt, with the game perhaps on the line. His thoughts about the right-hander of the Expos.
Well, Jeff Reardon is a guy that hadn't got a lot of publicity. He's not that well known. But I know him. I faced him quite often. He's a good pitcher. It throws real hard. He cuts the ball across the strike zone. He's a tough guy to hit the ball out of the ballpark on. When he comes in the ball game, we just have to work him and try and scrape for a run here and there. And if he's in the ball game, the game will be close, and we're going to do our best tonight to beat him.
Well, Schmidt is in that potential spot with Rose at 3rd, tying run McBride at 2nd. 2 outs, 8th inning, 3-1 Expos. Territory. Parrish with a look. Out of play. Schmidt came out swinging, didn't he?
This is the situation that makes manager Gray and pitchers worry. What do you do? 2nd and 3rd, first base open.
Well, the old rule, you don't put the winning run on. Casey did it, though, a few times and got away with it.
The guy at the plate had the best offensive year, really, of anybody in our league. Anybody in the National League. So this
You're looking at me as if you'd put him on. If you
I don't know. I think I'd have to be down there on that little dirt area right in the middle of the field to make up my mind. I think I have to find out how I'm throwing. It's a tough situation.
1-1. Reardon came in to get the final out yesterday, and Manny Trio sent a shot to left with 2 men on. That was captured by Francona. And Francona and the Expo outfield playing Schmidt with respect. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reardon's a fastball pitcher, and he gave Schmidt a fastball to start him off. And now he's thrown 2 breaking balls and have almost thrown a run in the process.
Well, the first pitch that he did throw to Schmidt, it looked like Mike just missed it. He may be saying, no, I'm not going to give him that fastball anymore. I'm either going to make that perfect slider on the black outside, or I'm going to walk him, one of the two. Yes, they are. Fanning, just from the bench, said, no, if we're going to lose a game, let's not lose it to Mike Schmidt. Let's not lose it to their best hitter late in the ball game. Let's put him on first base.
Now they take the bat out of Schmidt's hands, although in the process they're putting the potential winning run at first base. But the point well taken. You got the guy who had the best run production in the entire major leagues, and don't give him a chance to beat you. That's high respect. You have just seen the highest compliment. And Gary Matthews is a pretty tough hitter hitting behind Schmidt. Batted .301 during the course of the year. 9 home runs and 67 runs batted in, and those 67 RBIs right up there with the leaders.
He was a player of the month in September, so he finished very strong at .330, coming down the stretch with 7 home runs and 31 RBIs in that month. He was really on fire coming down the last 4 weeks of the season.
First, by putting Schmidt at first, it also gives that Philly infield a play at every base. Out of play. Matthews 1 for 3 tonight. His base hit was to right field, and his triple yesterday was also to right. Bases full of Phils. 3-1. Expos in the 8th. 2 out. The feeling here in Montreal is the reason the Expos are finally in the playoffs is this man, Reardon. Finally got a stopper, a man who consistently came in, game out, and retired the opposition with a lead.
It's the first one they've had really here since Mike Marshall worked for Gene Mock up for the Expos.
2-1, and now we're down to the action pitch. 2 balls and a strike. You know, Matthews is ready to swing, and Reardon doesn't want to go 3-1, although we thought he had a strike on that one.
Reardon disagreeing with Frank Pulley behind the plate. On that pitch, you could see Pulley genuflect behind as if he almost was going to call it a strike, but that's his. He calls ball, and he calls it with vigor. So he was not indecisive about that call. He simply called it ball.
Number 21 in your picture, the tying run at second. Schmidt at first. 2 out. Out of play, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Reardon is one of the many college and university players on this Montreal team. In fact, nearly half of their roster, 12 of 25. You see Matthews on-base percentage right there with all the big boys. The go-ahead run. Reardon attended the University of Massachusetts. Crowd picking up, pulling for Reardon. Matthews just did get a piece of that one. McBride the tying run. Schmidt at first, the go-ahead score. Walked intentionally here in the 8th inning. It's been all Montreal until the 8th. 45,896 on a mid-40-degree night.
the coolness now. And the count goes full. On deck is catcher Keith Moreland. Moreland with a home run yesterday. The runners will be going on this pitch, so a double could bring Schmidt in. Slide and treble down the right field line. Foul territory. Cromartie. When it left the bat, it looked like trouble, but it was sailing foul, and Cromartie gets the out. Reardon pitches out of trouble in the Philly eighth to get a run on 3 hits and leave the bases loaded. 3-1 Montreal.
Well, the strategy pays off for the Expos and Jeff Reardon. They walked Mike Schmidt with first base open, walked the winning run to first base, and Reardon ran the count all the way to 3-2 to Gary Matthews and got him to pop up to Warren Cromartie in foul territory.
Vukovich takes over in left field and undoubtedly will bat ninth, with Tuck McGraw coming into work. The fourth Philadelphia pitcher, Ruthven, started, gave up all 3 runs, 2 of them earned. Brewster, 2 scoreless innings, and Lyle, a scoreless inning. Now, Jim Fanning, and one of the things that you could hear rumbling around baseball when Fanning took over in September after being in the front office for so long, he did manage 5 years in the minors back in the early 60s, is does a man maintain the sharpness to make those split-second decisions, thinking 3-4 moves ahead, to be always in position, and apparently he has, and that was a very courageous move he had to make in the top of the 8th inning.
Well, I think it's the kind of move, Dick, that you make. If it works out, you're a hero. If it doesn't, you're the GOAT. Oh, but you got to go with your instincts, and I'm sure that with Mike Schmidt in that situation, he's been thinking about that, not just in that inning. That's been something that's been on his mind, conceivably for 4 or 5 days a week.
Carter, who has the big 2-run home run, the difference in the game, is thrown out by Schmidt. Well, as you've heard it so many times, as you go over the hitters prior to a series, you come to one man and say, don't let this guy beat you. This guy can do nothing but beat you, and that's the tag on the Mike Schmidts, the Andre Dawsons, the Gary Carters.
Especially in the last 3 innings. One of my theories has been, don't pick that guy, don't let him beat you in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. They're going to get their hits. You're not going to stop him. You can't stop him, but don't let him beat you in those last 3 innings.
McGraw, one of the many stars for the Phils in 1980. Had a little arm trouble here in September. Didn't pitch for 2.5 weeks. Pete Rose has the second out in foul territory as Parrish fouls out. Looking ahead to the 9th inning for Philadelphia, it'll be Moreland, Boa, and Trio scheduled. About the collegiate, the university influence on this Montreal team. Bonson went to Nebraska, Lee SC, Tulsa produced Steve Rogers, Reardon from UMass, Vandy, Scott Sanderson scheduled to pitch in the 4th game if there is one. A couple of Arizona kids, one of them being Terry Francona at the bat, as well as Brad Mills. That's UCSB for Spyrer, Florida A&M for Dawson. Really a college all-star team, this Montreal Expo club. And it is part of their philosophy, and they really believe in it. It goes right to the top in John McHale. Francona for Jerry Kindle's Arizona championship team in 1980. Rose doesn't get him. He's had trouble with that backhand all night. That's the 3rd one he's not been able to pick out of the dirt.
Trouble going that way, Dick. Ball on that AstroTurf, you're going to take a funny bounce. You get used to it going one way, and then all of a sudden, time-wise, it gets to you much quicker than you think it might. All of a sudden, the ball's there. Of course, it is. Must have hurry up and get it to first base and misses it. That's really after the fact when you. I'm trying to. Can't believe it.
Terry Francona.
Maybe he can't feel his hands.
With his second hit. 2 for 3 tonight. Spyrer, RBI single and a walk, 1 for 2, and they pick Francona off. No, they don't. Now he's out. Came off the bag. He had what would have been
stolen base, although picked off, but unable to maintain contact, and as he came off the bag, he alertly was tagged out.
I think he had his mind to go up one way or the other, no matter what happened. He took a while getting rid of that ball. That's why he was initially safe. But he slides past, goes right off the base. Larry Boa alertly staying right with him.
So that's it for the Expos in the 8th inning. The Phils come up, their final turn. Moreland, Boa, and Trio scheduled down by 2. Boa alertly at shortstop as he covered off. Francona safe for a moment. Little help by Boa, but not enough of a nudge that the umpire said he was forced off the bag. Dick Enberg and Tom Seaver, Olympic Stadium in Montreal, 9th inning, 3-1. The Expos lead it as Moreland will start things for the Phils in their last at bat. John Gonzalez, our director, George Finkel, our producer. Excellent work again tonight. Our thanks to Mike Cohen for his statistical work. 2-0 the count. And Reardon, of course, any base runner brings the tying run to the plate in the 9th inning.
Moreland's up there taking. Definitely got to be taking a strike, down by 2. Jeff really hasn't come close to the strike zone. Trying to overthrow the ball, looks like to me. He's got to go ahead and get his strikes. Right down Broadway, you need a strike. There it is.
And likely to be taking again, 3-1.
Oh, in the same spot.
Jim Fanning watching strike 2. Talking with Norm Sherry, the bullpen coach for the Expos, and he said when we first got Reardon over here, he said he just came up to me and said, I'll tell you one thing. I like it when it's toughest. And he said, you know, then I waited to hear the other things. That's all he said. He said, then I knew he really meant it. There's no other baloney going with it. Put me in when it's tough. Well, he just battled back 3-0 and strikes out Moreland. Fanning now watches Larry Boa step in.
Well, he couldn't heap enough praise on Reardon, could he, the other day? Jim Fanning talking about his bullpen.
Boa taking all the way and trying to make that strike zone as small as he can.
Philadelphia needs base runners. They don't need hits right now. They need a base runner.
Up there taking until he sees a strike. 1-1. Dallas Green down to the final 2 outs, trailing 3-1. Out of play. Gary Carter's 2-run homer back in the 3rd inning, the difference in the game. Bill Gullickson, a strong performance for Montreal through 7. Then with 2 outs in the 8th, gave up 3 consecutive hits to Smith, Rose, and McBride. McBride, a double, set up a situation where the Expos had to walk Smith to load the bases, and Reardon induced Gary Matthews to foul out. Out of play again. To go home with a win.
2-0 lead in this series, and then on to Philadelphia tomorrow night. Boy, the fans love it.
They're on their feet again. It was Reardon against this man Trio for the final out yesterday. 3-1. Expos on top, 2 outs, 9th inning. And now match point, down to the final strike. This should do it. Bill Gullickson's pitching, and Gary Carter's 2-run homer lead Montreal to Philadelphia with a 2-0 lead over the defending World Series champions. And we'll be back in just a moment. Wins 2 at home against Philadelphia by identical 3-1 scores. And they go to Philadelphia with the Phils in the hot seat.
Well, Dick, you know, to put it cliche in baseball, good pitching stops good hitting, and Montreal certainly has done it in this ballpark. Philadelphia on the air 0-7. They just haven't been able, Phillies haven't been able to turn it on. I think the key part of this ball game was when they walked Mike Schmidt. Don't let Mike Schmidt beat you, and they put him over there on first base, and Reardon got Gary Matthews out. I think for me it was a turning point of the ball game.
And now for the Phils, they'll go home where they'll have the support of their great fans. And, of course, they have had the second-best record in all of the National League during the course of this 1981 year. But Montreal joins the Yankees, the A's, and the Astros, winning the first 2 of the playoffs thus far. NBC's National League Division Series has been brought to you by
New York Jets. The Jets won that game 28-24.
No pitch. Look out.
We are in the top half of the second inning here. There's no score. 1 base hit so far in the game. Cruz just got that. Dodgers had a base runner in their half of the first inning when Baker was safe on air by Garner. Here is Walling. He takes it high. Ball 1.
Game 2 of the Dome. Cruz at first base, held by Garvey. Jerry Royce allowed 5 base hits, left with a no decision, but 3 of the 5 base hits were from left-handed hitters. Cruz gets the first one today. His pitching coach, Ron Peranowski, was talking about Royce, saying he has difficulty at times keeping the ball away from left-handed hitters. They pull off the ball, but he rides it inside, and they hit him.
It is high. 2 balls and no strikes. Royce doesn't give up any base on balls. 1.6 per 9 innings. And that's the best on the Los Angeles staff. He's behind Walling now with a count of 2 balls and no strikes. Fouled out of play. Two balls, 1 strike, 1 out. In the first inning, Terry Poole flied to left, Garner lined to right, and Tony Scott bounced out 3rd to 1st. Easy inning for Royce. Here in the second, Howe is flied to right, 1 out, and Cruz is just single to left. Dodgers, Lopes was out on strikes. Landreau flied to the right fielder, Poole. Baker was safe on an error by Garner, and Garvey was out. Howe to Walling. So that's the way it's been going so far.
Now, home plate umpire Lee Wire has called timeout.